is Oswald. Welcome to my library. I traded my soul for knowledge and lost the only thing that knowledge cannot replace. I am imprisoned here without end, where the shelves breathe and the candles never quite reach the dark. It is my sentence to narrate and yours to listen tonight. We speak of La Llorona, the weeping woman, the one who walks the water's edge, the one whose children are already gone, and who is looking, always looking for yours. Marcus Reyes was 26 years old when he heard her. He was not the kind of man who frightened easily. He had grown up in Laredo, Texas, 2 blocks from the Rio Grande, in a house where his grandmother kept a glass of water on the windowsill every night and never once explained why. He had heard the stories. Everyone had heard the stories. He had simply chosen not to believe them. It was a Tuesday in October, 11:30. He had taken a shortcut home through Zacate Creek, the way he always did after his shift at the garage. The air smelled of river mud and something faintly sweet, like flowers left too long in a vase. His boots crunched on the gravel path. His phone screen threw a pale blue rectangle at his feet. He was thinking about nothing. He was thinking about leftovers. Then he heard it. Not a scream, not quite. Something beneath a scream, a sound that seemed to come from inside the water itself, rising through the surface the way heat rises from summer asphalt. A long, broken, descending wail, the kind of sound a human throat makes when it has been making the same sound for a very long time, when it has forgotten what silence feels like. He stopped. The sound stopped. He took 1 step forward. The gravel shifted under his boot. He told himself it was a cat. He told himself it was the wind moving through the drainage channel. He looked at his phone. He looked at the dark water, and then he saw her. Not clearly. That is the thing. Not clearly at all. Just the shape of a woman standing at the bank, where the water was black and still, and she was white. Not wearing white. White, as if the moonlight had gathered itself into the suggestion of a figure, long-haired, long-armed, and she was bent forward over the water, and her hands were moving beneath the surface, searching for something she could not find. And then she turned her head, just slightly, just enough for Marcus to understand at the cellular level, in the part of the brain that has not changed in 10,000 years, that she knew he was there. He ran. He ran and did not stop until he reached his front door and stood with his back against it, chest heaving, staring at the empty street. His phone showed 11:37. He had been standing at that creek for 7 minutes. He remembered only seconds. He was inside now. He was safe. He told himself he was safe. But to understand what that man witnessed, you must first know what this thing was, what it became, and why the darkness claimed it. There are stories so old they have stopped being stories. They have become weather. They have become the particular quality of light on a river at dusk, the way a mother's voice changes when she calls a name and receives no answer. La Llorona is one of these. She does not belong to one country or one century. She belongs to grief itself. And grief, as I have learned in this library, is the one thing that never goes out of print. The most enduring version of her origin comes from Mexico, carried forward through centuries of whispered warning, and it begins, as so many catastrophes do, with a woman who loved too much and was loved too little. Her name, in most tellings, is Maria. That matters. Not a legend's name, a mother's name, a neighbor's name, Maria. She was poor and beautiful, living in a small village on the banks of a wide brown river. She had black hair that reached her waist and dark eyes that men found difficult to look away from, and she knew this, and perhaps that knowledge was its own kind of poverty. She had 2 children, a boy and a girl, small, particular. The boy had a habit of pulling at her sleeve when he wanted something and never just asking. The girl sang to herself while she ate, quiet little tuneless songs, unaware she was doing it. These are the kinds of details that history erases. I am telling you them now because they matter, because they are what was lost. A wealthy ranchero came to the village, handsome, confident in the way that men are confident when they have never once been told no. He saw Maria and he wanted her, and for a while, a season, perhaps 2, he made her feel that wanting and being wanted were the same thing. She bore him those 2 children. She believed in him with the specific, catastrophic belief of someone who has very little else to believe in. And then he left, not all at once. First, he came less often. Then he came with distance in his eyes, looking past her at something she could not see. Then he arrived one afternoon with a woman beside him, a woman from a wealthy family, a woman who brought land and connections and a name that opened doors. And he did not apologize. He did not explain. He simply looked at Maria and then looked at his children as if calculating something. And then he said he would take the children, that they would have a better life with him, that Maria was not enough. Something broke in her that evening, not loudly, quietly, the way old wood splits deep inside before the surface shows anything at all. What happened next is told differently in different places, in different mouths, in different years, and perhaps that variation is itself the truth of it. In some versions, she took the children to the river in a blind, howling grief and held them under the water, and the moment the current took them, she understood what she had done, and the understanding arrived too late, as understanding almost always does. In other versions, she cast them into the water in a moment of pure rage at the man who had unmade her family. In others still, she was simply standing at the riverbank, mad with anguish, and they slipped in, and she could not save them, and she let herself believe, later, that she had done it deliberately, because that lie was somehow more bearable than the truth of helplessness. She ran along the bank, screaming their names. The sound she made was not a human sound. The other villagers heard it and closed their shutters. Dogs would not go near the river for a week. She did not eat. She did not sleep. She walked the water's edge for days, then weeks, and when she finally died, the priests would not say how, only that they found her at the bank with her hands still reaching. They buried her without a name marker, because the village had decided, in the way villages always decide, that she had become something other than a person. She did not stay buried. The night after her burial, a woman was seen at the river, weeping, searching. The fisherman who glimpsed her said she was white as river fog, and that her face, when she turned it toward you, was not the face of anything that had eaten or slept or been warm in some time. They said that she called out in a voice like water moving over stone, "Mis hijos, my children, where are my children?" And then the children began to disappear, not in great numbers, not all at once, one here, one there, gone in the night, near water, and in the morning there was nothing but wet grass, and the sound, still carrying over the surface of the river, of a woman who was looking, and had not yet finished looking, and would not finish, not ever, because the thing that drives her is not evil. That is the part the stories sometimes forget to say. She is not evil. She is grief. She is what grief becomes when it is given a body and told to keep walking. She is seen near rivers, lakes, canals, drainage ditches, anywhere that water collects and holds still and reflects the sky like a mirror. She wears white. She has long black hair. She makes a sound that, once heard, is never again confused with anything else. And she is drawn, with the precision of a needle to a compass point, toward children, particularly children near water, particularly children out after dark. Parents across Mexico and Central America and the American Southwest have used her for generations as a warning. Do not go near the water at night. Come home before dark. She is looking for her children, and if she cannot find them, she may decide that yours will do. Some say that if La Llorona touches you, you will waste away. Others say that to hear her cry nearby means a death is coming for someone you love. Others say that she will carry a child directly into the water, and the child will be found in the morning if found at all. Marcus Reyes did not know any of this as he stood with his back against his front door that Tuesday night in October. He knew only that his hands were shaking and that the shortcut through Zacate Creek, the one he had taken 1,000 times, the one he had never once thought twice about, felt suddenly and permanently closed to him. He went inside. He locked the door. He ran the tap for a glass of water, and then stood very still with the glass in his hand, listening to the sound of running water before slowly, carefully, reaching over and turning it off. He did not go near the creek again, not that month, not that year. In fact, he moved. He never did explain to anyone what he had seen. He was not sure he could explain it and remain someone that other people looked at the same way. So he carried it alone, the way you carry certain things, quietly, in the chest like water in a sealed jar. He told himself it was nothing. He told himself he had imagined it. He still sleeps with the window closed, even in July, even when the heat is unbearable. He keeps the window closed, and he does not think about why, and he does not listen to the sound of rain in the gutters too carefully, because sometimes, in a certain frequency, it almost sounds like a name being called, and the voice calling it is not looking for him, but it has not yet decided that he will not do. The story of La Llorona is not at its heart a story about a monster. It is a story about what we do to women when we discard them, about how grief, unmourned and abandoned, does not dissolve. It calcifies, it rises, it walks. The darkness did not create her. We did. And perhaps that is the most frightening thing of all. I return now to my shelves. There is no shortage of such stories here. The library is endless, and I have eternity, and the candles are always burning.